Who says that the affairs of the past and present are hard to fathom? Generally speaking, prosperity and decline are all in vain. If one can just live a life according to one's lot before death, how can it compare to pointing at the distant wild geese beyond the clouds? Snowy hues secretly add white to the roots of the eyebrows, and the flower-like glow on the face fades away in an instant. Looking back with melancholy and desolation, a sad wind rises in the desolate evening forest. These 8 lines of poetry were composed by Wang Chihao from Huiyang County, Chengdu Prefecture, Sichuan. When he was nearly 60 years old, he looked at his face in the mirror and saw that there were a few white hairs on his beard and hair, and he was inspired to write them. Among the things in the world, what is young will become strong, and what is strong will become old. This is the common sense since ancient times, and everyone cannot avoid it. It turns out that most things turn white first and then black, but only the beard and whiskers turn black first and then white. There was also Magistrate Lu who liked to wear flowers. When he saw his gray hair in the mirror, he once composed the lyric, Ziuading Lu. My character in life is to casually like some of the beauty of spring, and I am deeply intoxicated and attached to the flower-lined paths. Although I am old, my heart is still young. My head is covered with flowers, pressing the scarf and hat aside. Several of my close friends advised me to dye my hair, and several of my close friends advised me to remove the flowers. What's the use of dyeing or removing them? At first, I thought I would be short-lived, but now I have passed my middle age. Let some white hair stay to adorn my later years, and just let it be white. What is the surname and given name of this wealthy man? Truly, when will the dust following the carriages and horses finally end? Matters related to people's hearts will eventually come to an end sooner or later. One day, Master Zhang suddenly slapped his chest and sighed. He said to the 2 people, I'm so old, with no sons or daughters. What's the use of having a fortune of 100,000 strings of cash? The 2 people said, why don't you, sir, take a wife and have a son or a daughter, so as not to cut off the family line? Words can bring about a match, and words can bring about a marriage. It can cure the lonely phoenix and single phoenix in the world and take care of those who sleep alone in the universe. The wealthy man said, because I have no son, I trouble you 2 to find a match for me. Just before leaving, he called them back and said, I have 3 things to say. Just because of these 3 sentences he said later, it made the wealthy man, one who had the path to the blue clouds became a person in great distress, one whose white bones had no grave turned into a ghost who lost his hometown. The matchmaker said, I don't know what you think, sir. Master Zhang said, I have 3 conditions to tell you 2. First, I want someone with outstanding appearance, good looking. Second, the family status should be well matched. Third, I have a family fortune of 100,000 strings of cash. I need a bride who has a dowry of 100,000 strings of cash to match me. The 2 matchmakers secretly laughed in their hearts and casually promised, these 3 conditions are easy to meet. Then they took their leave of the wealthy man and left. On the way, matchmaker Zhang discussed with matchmaker Li and said, if we can make this match, we can earn 100 or so strings of cash. But what the wealthy man said is really unreasonable. For those who meet the 3 conditions, why would they marry an old man instead of a young man? Do you think your few white whiskers are made of sugar? Matchmaker Li said, I have a suitable match ready. There is a young mistress in Lord Wang's mansion. She is only 20 years old, as beautiful as a flower in a jade, and she also has a dowry. Just because the mistress is fierce and the master is strict, not to mention that she can't be kept, she is often beaten until she loses consciousness. At that time, they made an agreement, and they didn't mention the betrothal gifts and other things. Matchmaker Zhang said, since it's such a good match, why would she be willing to marry an old man? Matchmaker Li said, we just need to hide Zhang's age by a dozen or so years, and then the 2 sides will be about the same. Matchmaker Zhang said, tomorrow is an auspicious day for harmony. I will go with you to Mr. Zhang's house first to settle the betrothal gifts, and then we will go to Lord Wang's mansion and it will be done as soon as we talk about it. The next day, the 2 matchmakers made an appointment and went to Master Zhang's house together. They said, regarding the 3 conditions you, sir, instructed us yesterday, we have found a suitable match. It's so coincidental. First, the person has outstanding appearance. Second, the family status is well matched. Third, the dowry is 100,000 strings of cash. I'm just afraid that you, sir, will think she is too young. Master Zhang asked, how old is she? Matchmaker Li replied, she is just 20 years old. Master Zhang smiled all over his face and said, I fully rely on you to make this happen. To cut a long story short, both sides agreed at that time. Of course, they had to give the betrothal gifts and complete the marriage ceremony. After the wedding candles were lit and the marriage was consummated. The next morning, they paid their respects to the ancestral hall. Master Zhang wore a purple silk robe, a new headscarf, new boots, and new socks. The young mistress wore a red brocade robe with large sleeves and a round flower pattern, a brocade headscarf, and she was born with, I can't describe her in all her enchanting beauty, and I can't paint her in all her gorgeous charm. After the wedding night, Master Zhang was happy, but the young mistress was not. After more than a month, a person bowed and said, today is your birthday, sir. I, the Taoist priest, have come to present this sacrificial prayer. It turned out that whenever it was the first day of the month, the 15th day of the month, or his birthday, the wealthy man would receive a sacrificial prayer from a Taoist priest. One day, Master Zhang said to the young mistress, I'm going out for some minor business. Please be patient, madam. The young mistress had to reply, you, sir, should go and come back early. After saying that, Zhang went out, and the young mistress thought to herself, I'm such a person with so much dowry, yet I married an old man with white whiskers. She was just feeling annoyed when the maid standing beside her said, why don't you, madam, go to the door and look at the street to relieve your boredom today? The maid put down the curtain hook and lowered the curtain. There were two stewards in front of the door. One was Li Qing, in his 50s, the other was Zhang Sheng, in his 30s. When the two saw the curtain being lowered, they asked, why? The maid said, the madam is coming out to look at the street. The young mistress first called Steward Li and asked, how many years have you been in the wealthy man's house? Steward Li said, Li Qing has been here for more than 20 years. The madam said, has the wealthy man usually taken care of you? Steward Li said, everything I eat and drink comes from the wealthy man. The young mistress said, Steward, wait a moment. The young mistress turned back and went in. After a while, she handed some things to Steward Li. He took them with his hands wrapped in his sleeves and bowed to thank her. The young mistress then called Steward Zhang and said, how can I give something to him and not to you? You also wait a moment. Zhang Sheng said, the food and clothing of the whole family all come from the wealthy man's gift. The young mistress also turned back and went in. After a while, she called Zhang Sheng to the curtain. The young mistress said, Steward, you are a smart person. Haven't you heard that wealth stirs people's hearts? Zhang Sheng said, I know a little about it. The young mistress said, don't blame me. I called you here today for no other reason. When I married Zhang, I just hoped to live with him until old age and die together. I didn't expect that Zhang is already 60 years old and his death is approaching. What should I do? Zhang Sheng said, if you, madam, have any needs, I will do my best to help. The young mistress said, what do I need your help for? I called you here today for no other reason. It's just that I have a dowry of 100,000 strings of cash, and I have no relatives by my side. If you are willing to help me, I will surely repay you. Zhang Sheng said, madam, if you have anything, just give the order. I will never leak it. The young mistress said, I want to give you something. You can take it. It turned out that Steward Li received 10 strings of silver coins, while Steward Zhang received 10 strings of gold coins. At that time, Steward Zhang didn't know that Steward Li received silver coins, and Steward Li didn't know that Steward Zhang received gold coins either. Zhang Sheng took the gold coins, thanked the madam, and went back to his shop. Zhang Sheng kept thinking about the young mistress all the time. After one night, the next day, when he arrived at the shop, he asked Steward Li, yesterday, the madam rewarded you with 10 strings of silver coins. Did you take them? Steward Li said, I took them too. Zhang Sheng said, look at my 10 strings of coins. They are gold coins. Steward Li said, the madam just likes you more. Zhang Sheng said, I've been thinking. Why did the madam only reward me with gold coins? There must be a reason. While they were talking, a woman took off a package of clothes from her back, opened it and said, "These few pieces are for you to wear, and there are also a few pieces of women's clothes for your mother." Then the woman left the clothes, said goodbye, and went out. She turned back and said, "There is one more important thing I forgot." Then she took out a 50-tael silver ingot from her sleeve and threw it in. Jiang Sheng went back home and showed the clothes and silver ingot to his mother. His mother asked, "Where did these things come from?" Steward Jiang told his mother everything that happened last night. The old woman heard it and said, "My son, the young mistress gave you gold coins, and also gave you clothes and silver. What does that mean? Your mother is already over 60 years old. Since your father passed away, I only have you in my eyes. If you do something wrong, who can I rely on? Don't go tomorrow." Steward Jiang was an honest man and also a filial son. When he heard what his mother said, he didn't go to the shop. Master Jiang sent people to call him several times, but his mother just said that he wasn't well. Time passed quickly, like a shuttle. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed at home. Although he received many things from the young mistress, the large silver ingot was not easy to use casually, and the clothes were not easy to sell. Without doing any business, as days passed, the money in his hand was used up. Then he asked his mother, "You won't let your son go to Master Zheng's house? I'm idle from my business. How can I manage the daily expenses at home now?" Jiang Sheng looked and saw that there was a package hanging on the beam of the house. He took it down and said, "Your father raised you this big with just this thing." The old woman said, "Now you do this business again, follow your father's business and sell some rouge and thread." At that time, it was the Lantern Festival. Jiang Sheng said, "There will be lanterns at Duanmen Gate tonight for the Lantern Festival." Then he asked his mother, "I want to go and see the lanterns, mother." His mother said, "My son, you haven't been on this road for a long time. Now if you go to Duanmen Gate to see the lanterns and pass by Master Zheng's house, you will cause trouble again." Jiang Sheng said, "Everyone is going to see the lanterns. They say that the lanterns are very good this year. I will go and come back soon and won't pass by Master Zheng's house." His mother said, "It's okay to go and see the lanterns, but you can't go alone. It's better to go with an acquaintance." Jiang Sheng then invited an acquaintance, Brother Wang, to go and see the lanterns with him. Before leaving, his mother told them, "It's okay for you two to go and see, but first, don't drink alcohol. Second, go and come back together." The two said, "Don't worry, mother." The two went to Duanmen Gate to see the lanterns and happened to meet the maid beside the young mistress at that time. The maid said, "Young master, the madam asked me to look for you." Jiang Sheng said, "Where is the young mistress?" The maid said, "The madam is in the wine shop opposite." Jiang Sheng said, "Brother Wang and I will go and see the lanterns first, and then come to see the madam." The maid said, "The madam is waiting for you immediately and asked me to invite you to go right away." Jiang Sheng said to Brother Wang, "You go and see the lanterns by yourself. I will go and come back soon." Brother Wang said, "If you go, and I see the lanterns alone and go back to see your mother, and your mother asks where you are and why I didn't accompany you, what should I say? I will wait for you in this room." Jiang Sheng then followed the maid to the wine shop opposite and saw the young mistress sitting by the counter. Jiang Sheng said, "Madam, Jiang Sheng is here." The young mistress said, "Steward Jiang, I invited you. Now I have nowhere to go and I specially come to you. Look at our past relationship and let me stay in your house for a few days." Jiang Sheng said, "If you, madam, want to come to my house, it's only possible if my mother agrees." The young mistress said, "Let's go and ask your mother together. I will wait for the reply in the house opposite." Jiang Sheng then went to see his mother with the maid and told her about it. The old woman said, "Please come in and meet me." After the greeting ceremony, the young mistress told the whole story of what she had just said from the beginning. "Now I have no relatives to turn to, and I specially come to see you, madam. I hope you will take me in." The old woman heard it and said, "It's okay for you, madam, to stay for a few days. I'm just afraid that our humble home will treat you poorly. You can think about other relatives and go to them later." The young mistress then took out a rosary from her bosom and gave it to the old woman, saying, "Tomorrow, cut some beads to sell, open a rouge and thread shop, and hang a flower wicker basket at the door as a sign." Jiang Sheng said, "With this precious thing, if we sell it casually, we can get a lot of money. Moreover, the large 50-tael silver ingot hasn't been used yet, and it's just right to buy goods with it." After a few days, a servant boy carried a box and passed by in front of them. The young mistress stopped him and asked, "What's new in the mansion recently?" The servant boy said, "There's nothing special in the mansion. It's just that a string of 108 Western pearl rosary beads that Lord Wang was looking for the other day is missing. Everyone in the mansion has been punished because of it." When the young mistress heard this, her face turned either green or red. The young servant boy left. Soon, 20 or 30 people came to the house and moved away her dowry and Jiang Sheng's belongings. Then they arrested Jiang Sheng and took him to the left military patrol court for interrogation, asking for those 108 rosary beads. Jiang Sheng replied that he didn't have them. They beat him up and locked him in prison. It turned out that when the young mistress was in Jiang Sheng's house and heard about this, she was afraid of implicating Jiang Sheng, so she went to the room and hanged herself to death. The case couldn't be settled, so they also imprisoned Jiang Sheng for 2 or 3 days. Fortunately, Jiang sent someone to bribe on his behalf and bailed him out. When Jiang Sheng saw that the young mistress was dead, he was very depressed. When he got home and saw his mother, he just cried. His mother said, "My son, don't be sad. The dead can't be brought back to life." Jiang Sheng said, "The young mistress died because of me. How can I not be sad?" While they were talking, Master Jiang sent someone to call Jiang Sheng. Jiang Sheng followed the person to see the wealthy man. The wealthy man said, "I called you here today for no other reason. I heard that the young mistress is dead. Do you know about it?" Jiang Sheng said, "I know, sir." The wealthy man said, "What grudge did you have with the young mistress that she died because of you?" Jiang Sheng told the whole story of what happened before. The wealthy man said, "Where is that string of rosary beads?" Jiang Sheng went to the room and took it out. Jiang asked Jiang Sheng to go to Lord Wang's mansion with him. They handed over the rosary beads, cut off several beads, and redeemed them with money. Lord Wang exempted Jiang Sheng from the crime, returned his belongings, and he opened the rouge and thread shop again. The wealthy Master Jiang still invited Taoist priests from Tianqing Temple to hold a Taoist ritual to offer sacrifices to the young mistress. It was precisely because during her lifetime, the young mistress had deep affection for Jiang Sheng, and even after her death, her spirit seemed to still linger around him. Fortunately, Jiang Sheng was extremely sincere-hearted and remained completely innocent throughout, so he avoided disaster and remained free from all entanglements. Nowadays, there are countless people seduced by wealth and beauty, but someone like Jiang Sheng is truly 1 in 10,000. Later generations composed a poem in praise. Who doesn't covet wealth or lust after beauty? But it's always hard for the upright to be corrupted. If young people could be like Steward Jiang, they'd be safe from both ghosts' mischief and human harm.